YouTube, what is going on? We are back with another mock draft simulation. This time, we're talking Arizona Cardinals. As always, if you like this video, we would appreciate a like, sub, tell your friends, tell your grandparents, tell anybody who's interested in NFL draft. That's what we do here at Draft Countdown. With all that being said, the Arizona Cardinals are a team that's in transition. They think potentially they've got their quarterback situation figured out. Kyler Murray, they got Ritter to back him up in the offseason. They need help at receiver. Michael Wilson's about what they've got, and then a lot of depth pieces. They've got their tackles pretty well set in Jonah Williams and Paris Johnson. Their interior needs a little love. Their defense needs a little love. They can use some help kind of across the board, and we're going to see if we can do that in this draft. Now, for this simulation, we're not trading picks. I know that there's some inevitable movement that will happen come draft night. And I think Arizona is the first spot where you start to consider somebody that needs something might try to move up. Whether they need a tackle, whether they need a receiver, a quarterback, depending on how the board falls. I kind of expect the board to fall this way. The top three teams all need quarterbacks. The top three teams all get quarterbacks. Now, the question then becomes is J.J. McCarthy really the next man up? Is, Bo Nix or any of these other guys fall into that conversation? Those are all questions that right now we're starting to see the smoke screens appear, and everybody's got to take. I know that we've heard recently that Arizona wants multiple firsts, probably 3 or so firsts for this pick. We see all 3 of these quarterbacks gone. I'm not sure you see a team spend all that to get to this spot unless they think, J.J. McCarthy is the next big guy, or if somebody's willing to pay that to try to get Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't. For a team like Arizona, if you feel like your offense is getting pretty well set, you need some pass catchers. Trey McBride is arguably your number one with Michael Wilson. I mean, those are your 2 options. So here it's a no-brainer. You go Marvin Harrison Jr., you get that elite pass catcher that your quarterback will desperately need, and you go from there. Back at pick 27, the Cardinals have a first at the beginning and a first at the end, and this really could be nice for them. They can move around, they can do some things, they can move back. They have a lot of ability to jump around this draft and really have a lot of control of the draft with so many picks this year. I think at this point, you look at what's on the board. Latham is your top offensive tackle. Murphy's your top defensive tackle. You've got a really stellar edge rusher and Chop Robinson that's sitting there. A lot of athletic upside there. There are still some question marks. Then you've got some more. You got some offensive linemen. You've got more receivers. I mean, there's just a lot of things going on here that they could do, a lot of directions they can go. I think if you're a team like this that needs a lot of pass catching options for your quarterback, if the board really does fall like this and a guy like A.D. Mitchell is still sitting there, I don't see why you don't take him and pair him up, because he's a different skill set, a different type of receiver than Marvin Harrison is. So why not go A.D. Mitchell and just continue to build on what is now quickly going to become a strength? These 2 guys can really gel with Murray and develop with this offense. I go here, I go A.D. Mitchell, and I just get excited that you've got some really nice starting receivers come week 1. Back on the board at pick 35, there's a lot of options here, looking both the quarterbacks that people think could be fringe round 1, round 2 type guys are there, and Nix and Penix. This would be a spot, if this board fell this way, that I would easily see Arizona trade back. Maybe even acquire some picks, future picks, things like that. They've got some offensive linemen here, in Kingsley, Samatea, and, even on the defensive side, Darius Robinson, some guys that I think are really intriguing prospects. But if they feel like their tackles are set, I don't think they go offensive tackle there. They could look at a running back. Trey Benson's, arguably one of the top running backs in this draft class. But then I scroll down a little bit, and though we are sitting here and we're going to make the pick, some people might think this is a reach, but I'm going Cooper Beebe here from Kansas State. Elite interior offensive lineman, super strong, super physical. Like, this is a guy that helps set the tone and really elevates that offensive lineman, and will probably push for starting day 1 role. And I think a guy like this really helps set the tone for your offensive line and would be a huge piece moving forward. So give me Cooper Beebe, Kansas State. Back on the clock at pick 66, we're just going to take what the board's given to us. If this player is really going to fall this far, I have no problem jumping all over him. We need to start looking at some defensive talent, get some guys involved here that can really help. Rukaroro from Clemson is explosive. I mean, the dude's RAS score was near perfect. There are obviously questions like there are with any player coming into the league, but I think for what this team needs on defense, this is a guy that really brings a lot to the table. I think they'll really like it. Here at 66, people may feel like we reached on BB, but people feel like we're going to get a steal with Rook here. So we're going to go here, take a defensive lineman, get us some help. Next up at 71, I mean, again, the board is falling in such a really nice way that we can address a really strong player at an area that could use some help. We're going linebacker this time. We're going Junior Colson from Michigan. This dude's got really great back pedal. He's very explosive. He's good in coverage. I mean, he's checks a lot of the boxes that this team is going to need, whether they use him on the interior or they use him as an edge guy. I think there's a lot of flexibility here with Colson that this team could really use and really like. And, you know, they made some moves. I mean, they grabbed Mac Wilson in free agency, but other than that, their linebackers really did not get a lot of action here. So they need to add some pieces there. And I think Colson could step in and be a guy early that could get some playing time, has played in big games at Michigan, and I think really is a nice upgrade to this linebacking room. Back up at 90, we're looking across the board. We see a lot of different pieces here that we could address. A lot of different ways that we can go. I'm going to look at running back because Braylon Allen from Wisconsin sitting there. Dude, super young, big, physical, appears to have good vision when you watch the film. And though they don't necessarily need a starter now, a guy like Braylon Allen could get some reps, could help them either now or in the future behind Connor and Carter and Mercado. And I mean, they have guys, but Braylon Allen could be their guy of the future, and getting him here at 90, that's a great spot for him. Back out on the board again at 104. We didn't forget about you, secondary. We are going to show you some love this time. We are going to give you Andrew Phillips from Kentucky. Very explosive, a younger player that's a little bit more raw to the position, but doesn't need to start from day one. They've got Sean Murphy Bunting that came over from Tampa. They've got some depth guys that could step in and play, or maybe Phillips picks up things quicker and can step in the lineup sooner. That would be huge for them. Got good size, got great speed, had a solid RAS score for those of you that care about the numbers. So give me a DB. Let's help that secondary a little bit, as we've already been adding to the other levels of this defense. The board at pick 138, we're actually going to take the guy that's listed at 138 on this simulator. Limmer from Arkansas has a high football IQ, comes from a school that does a good job producing NFL centers. He's had plenty of great guys in the past before him, and this guy not only brings high football IQ, but brings a leadership quality, brings a good fierce physicality to the center position, and he may or may not need to start early. They have a couple guys there. They got some vets that they could easily start, but this guy could very well be your center of the future, and put him next to BB along this offensive line. That's a really great way to go looking forward. This could be huge for them. Double pick 162. We're just going to keep taking what the board gives us, and we're going defensive line here. We're going Jordan Jefferson from LSU. Big, physical guy that could play your nose position. He can really just kind of eat up a multiple offensive lineman if need be, and does a good job with his explosiveness, with his quick feet. He's able to shed blocks pretty well. You don't see this guy hit the ground all that often when you watch the film. I think he really continues to improve this defense that needed kind of an injection of young talent. I think this guy could easily step in and be a rotational piece early, or in the future be your number one in the middle there. We're in the 6th round, and we didn't forget about you tight ends. There's a guy here that I think has had a really interesting draft process. Dallin Holker from Colorado State is a tight end that has had some hype. I think he gives you very much Tyler Higbee type vibes, more of a pass catcher than a blocker. You pair him with Trey McBride, I think that adds another weapon to this offense that, 6th round. You're not expecting this guy to be elite, be your number one, but he certainly could be a nice depth piece that you get in there and you give him some routes that he's really good at nailing it, and just another weapon for Kyler Murray. 7th round is upon us, and you're looking at this point in the draft for guys with traits, with a tool set, that's something that you can maybe envision developing into something that can make your roster and help build you in a contender. And sitting here, Ryan Flournoy from Southeast Missouri State, dude had a RAS score that was near perfect. I mean, he looked the part of an NFL receiver when you watched those college games, and I think he is a player that could push for, maybe he starts as a special teams type guy, maybe he's a return man. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could see with a player like this that could help make a roster or be part of your practice squad that can play in a pinch. And think about it, this receiving core, yes, we've added some talent in this draft, but can always use some depth. So a guy like this, if he can pick things up quick and really prove his worth to the team, he could make this roster at the position they need help in and with what he brings to the table. So give me him here, and if you can land a guy in the 7th round that makes your roster, I mean, huge win. Huge. Is a wrap. The 2024 NFL Draft is in the books for your Arizona Cardinals. What do you guys think of this group of players that we added to your team? We got you some receivers, we got you some offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, running backs, tight ends, DBs, a partridge in a pear tree. Let me know in the comments below. We would appreciate if you guys check out our other draft simulations and keep it locked here to Draft Countdown on YouTube, draftcountdown.com. Number one in your hearts. We'll see you later.